as you just saw in that last clip, I've started trying to strip and isolate the wiring harness. A couple days ago, I was gonna run the harness back over the engine just to get it off of this mirror, and in anticipation of putting this fender on for the cooling stack. And then I was looking at some of this stuff and I was like, well, this doesn't need to be here. And I think the thing that jumped out to me most is the vacuum solenoid for the wastegate on the original GM Turbo. And then I was like, oh yeah, I got the whole freaking service manual for this thing, so I'll just cut the harness down. And that way when it does run over the firewall, it's not, you know, any bigger than it has to be. And I think, like, pretty sure this whole run here is all transmission stuff, so like that can go away. So anyway, I'm just in the process of, you know, deluming it and labeling it and everything like that. So this is very intimidating for me, but hopefully the outcome is a reduced size harness that can just right over and look good and everything like that. And then we'll be a real big step closer to starting it, because then I'll be able to identify all the wires on the standalone and connect them to the truck and everything like that. So I'm continuing to work on identifying and stripping the harness in preparation for cutting it down, so I can figure out, you know, what has to stay, what can go. That way, as I said, we can reduce the amount of wire going across the back of the motor there. So as suspected, this is the run that goes down to the transmission and the transfer case. And because we're going from an automatic with a push button transfer case to a stick with a manual shift, a lot of this is going to be able to go. So I've been able to use this factory service manual that I got, which I think I mentioned this at one point, maybe a couple videos ago. These are sold in pairs, and it was like 60 or 80 bucks for both of them. They're reprints, which I don't really think matters, but they're awesome. They have all the technical drawings and diagrams and things. So from what I can tell, there's two plugs on this transfer case. The first one is the vehicle speed sensor, and the second one is the four-wheel drive indicator light for the floor shift, or I guess in the Duramax it would have been a light on the dash. So this connector here is the vehicle speed sensor, so this has to stay, and then pretty much like everything else can go. So that's really cool, because I'll be able to get rid of this whole run for the most part. I gotta confirm this plug, because I think this might go to the rear like taillight harness, but I know that this is a trans input speed sensor. This is the like shift lever gear selector controller. I'm not sure what these two are, but I don't think I need them, so definitely going to retain the VSS. And then for the four-wheel drive indicator light, I'm going to have to make my own switch on harness for that. So we're plugging away. My hope is to have a plan together for what to cut by the end of the weekend, and then maybe look into taping it and looming it and running it over. Because realistically, once the harness is out of this side and back over to where it should be, then I can start working on reassembling this side, figuring out the degas bottle, if I'm going to use a factory 6.5 bottle or a Duramax bottle, replacing the inner fender, and then mounting the battery, figuring out the intercooler piping, so we can kind of start finishing up over here and then bringing it over here, because this is where a lot of stuff is going to happen, brakes and more stuff, but that'll be for a separate video. So anyway, back on subject, gonna keep figuring out what everything here is and go from there. Okay, so here's where we're at. Stopping for the night. Basically, just trying to identify what's left. I'll show you guys what I've cut so far. I've got transmission input speed sensor, glow plug controller, vacuum solenoid that hasn't been hooked up for like 7 years. The glow plug solenoid. Somewhere in there is the, oh, there it is. It's the round connector that goes on the side of the 4L80, so that's all gone. So just been trying to label what's there, and then in preparation of relooming all this. So we've got the underhood work light, the oil pressure sending unit for the dash. This is some stuff that got cut out up here. This is, I don't know what this is, so before I get rid of it, I want to figure out what it is. Same with all these other unlabeled plugs. Vehicle speed sensor for the transfer case. This is the, on the air conditioning system somewhere. That's the plug for the compressor. This is just a ground, some stuff that got cut. Don't know what this one is. It's one wire. Probably a horn, now that I think of it. Don't know what this is, so I'm leaving it. Same for all this other stuff. This is the signal wire for the starter, so that'll get integrated into the standalone. This is the pass-through to power the cab. Some other stuff. So we did get rid of a fair amount, and I think there's probably still a little bit more to get rid of, but then we can start taping and looming and over here, and hopefully everything corresponds with stuff, and then we can figure out if any of this can get gotten rid of. So electrical intimidates me, as I've said before, so I just work slowly and methodically and try to understand what's going on and try not to fuck it up too bad. So until the next clip. So I'm gonna wrap up this portion of the video, and this electrical situation is gonna have to get split into a couple different clips because it's more than I really wanna do in one. So Kyle came over this afternoon and helped out a ton. He's much better at reading the book than I am, and we were able to kind of figure out some different circuits that we can get rid of. And so you can see this pass-through that basically feeds the computer. We were able to get rid of a bunch of stuff on it. There's still some plugs that we have to identify and figure out where they go and what they do. But for the most part, this thing's getting cut down real nice. So you can see, you know, we can probably fit that in like some maybe 3/4 inch loom, as opposed to like the big 1.5 inch stuff that it was previously. So I got to figure out what this harness goes to, and then over there I've got headlights and the rest of the standalone. So once we get that all situated, we can run it back over and connect everything, and then start getting some of the key wires like the key on power, constant 12-volt power, grounds, signal wire for the starter, stuff like that figured out, and maybe bump this thing over. So we're getting there little by little. Cut a bunch of stuff, and hopefully we didn't cut any of the wrong stuff, and we'll figure that out, I guess, when the time comes. But big thanks to Kyle for coming over and assisting as always, and hopefully we get some updates on this thing next weekend. I'm going to be on the road for work this week, so I'm not going to get a chance to work on it, but soon enough we'll be back in here getting after it.